Hi, I'm Darren, and welcome to New Factory Classics. Merry Christmas for today's Christmas version of our show, which is normally a Christmas show already. We're going to cover Home Alone, a classic. It's a 30-year-old film where a child attempts to murder home invaders, but due to a curse of some sort, they are unkillable. Now, Kevin McAllister lives in a mansion with 174 siblings. His aunts, uncles are there. There are so many people there. His dad must be like a mob boss or something. It doesn't make any sense. They live in a house that's like 10,000 square feet. The mom does not have a job. The dad doesn't seem to have a job either, but there are infinite amount of people in this house. Now, Kevin is a whiny 10-year-old. He will go about the first 20 minutes of this film fighting with every single person in this house. As a child myself, I thought that he was the victim, but rewatching this, it's his fault in every single interaction that he has with everyone else. Now, all these people are here because his father, the rich question mark for somehow he has this money, is taking 15 people to France for Christmas. And he's going to fly most of them in first class. Something that has been mathematically calculated that this trip was going to cost about $30,000. But, that's just something that everyone does every year for Christmas. Now, Kevin is scared of the old neighbor that lives next door. He thinks he's a murderer that killed his family. Either that or he's just a lonely old man, but Kevin's going to go with murderer just to be safe. A huge argument starts because Kevin wanted the last piece of cheese pizza and his brother ate the last piece of cheese pizza. So instead of getting one of the other pieces of pizza and just taking off the toppings, the best thing to do would be for Kevin to punch his brother in the stomach. All the family is going to freak out and start knocking over soda, knocking over milk, just absolutely destroy the kitchen. And then while they're cleaning up, they will accidentally throw away Kevin's passport, which is why they won't notice that he's missing later on. One of several reasons why they don't notice that he's missing. Now, Kevin is sent upstairs to sleep alone, and he screams to the universe that he hopes that his family disappears and never comes back. Now, the power will get knocked out overnight, and everyone's going to oversleep, and they're going to miss their alarms. This is back when nobody had cell phones. Everyone just relied on that little alarm next to your bed. And they all had to get up by 8. It's 8 a.m. The van is here to take them to the airport, and they're all going to freak out, grab everyone, and try and run and get to their plane flight. Now, there's actually a scene where they're all running through the airport, which is fantastic because it's something that you cannot do. You actually haven't been able to do for about 22 years now since 9/11. But back in the day, you could just run around an airport. You could get on a plane. You could get to the airport 2 minutes before your plane left, and you would be just fine. Once again, the McAllisters are somehow flying first class. It's never really explained where they get all this money, but they're going to be flying first class. Now, Kevin wakes up from his demon slumber to find out that everyone is gone. And he searches the house. He tries to find someone. He can't find anyone. He decides this is the best thing that's ever happened to him. As a 10-year-old who hated his family, he now gets to live alone. And so the first thing he's going to do is just start partying, jumping on the bed, eating a bunch of food, watching rated R movies, just so he can do whatever he wasn't allowed to do when his family was there. Kevin even watches Filthy Souls, a fictional R-rated movie where it's, what is it, keep the change, you filthy animal? If you've ever heard that line, that's from that fictional movie. Now we're introduced to our villains, Harry and Marv. They're called the Wet Bandits in that they go robbing houses and they leave the water on to flood the whole house after stealing everything they can and stealing everything they can. So they were going house to house, finding out who was going to be on vacation and coming back and robbing those people blind while they're gone and then destroying it, leaving water issues when they're done. Kevin's mom arrives in France and realizes that she left her youngest and brattiest child back at home all alone. So she freaks out and she's going to spend the rest of the movie trying to get home to Kevin. Now, their trip has been completely destroyed. Understand, once again, the dad spent $30,000 to get everyone here, and This is further destroyed by Kevin, who basically got in trouble the night before, got sent away. The power did go out, but let's just be honest, most of this movie is Kevin's fault. Kevin destroys his brother's room while he's home alone, trying to get money out of a box on the top of a shelf, and knocks over everything, causing thousands of dollars in damage. But he does get about $50 in cash, so it's a good exchange for Kevin. Um, with that money, he decides to go shopping multiple times. He sets up multiple elaborate hoaxes to convince random adults that show up at the house that he is not a child home alone. One of them is he's trying to convince a pizza man that he's not home alone, despite the fact that nobody would have a problem if a 10-year-old bought a pizza and gave them cash. Um, Kevin's mom is meanwhile having the hardest time ever. She's trying to get home from Paris, France, 2 nights before Christmas to Chicago with not having a pre ticket. So she ends up like paying anyone that she can to get herself closer to her son. She spends thousands of dollars and gives away lots of jewelry to be able to get to a different part of the United States, but at least get to the United States. Eventually, she'll take some vans. She'll make multiple stops, but she'll get home about 10 minutes before the rest of the family, who also spent thousands of dollars to get slightly delayed flights home. But in the end, they wasted a bunch of money. The entire trip was ruined. Now, Kevin overhears that Marv and Harry are going to rob his house that night. They've been trying to break into this house the entire week, finally figured out that he's home alone. They're going to break in. So Kevin realizes that he has basically two options. One, he can contact the police, or two, he can set up a series of elaborate and increasingly violent traps in his house to hurt the intruders. He does realize he misses his family. He goes to church and runs into the old man that's the neighbor, talks with him, realizes the man's nice. He's just lonely because he's scared off his family. He got in a fight with his son, and he's been alone ever since for the last 10 years. Kevin suggests talking to his son to try and make things better, but you don't want to hear all about that. You want to hear what Kevin does to the intruders. So I'm going to list every single thing he does in order to them, how injured they should be, whether or not they should have died. Okay. Harry gets shot in the testicles with a BB gun. Super painful, but he should be fine. Marv gets shot in the forehead with a BB gun. Less painful, you'll have a mark, but you should be fine. Both slip several times on icy cement stairs and fall on their back. One's 35, one's 47. I looked up the actors' ages when they filmed this. A 47-year-old falls on his back at least 12 times in this movie. He seems to be all right. Let's see. Marv gets a tire iron, or no, an iron that falls on his head. It falls from the second floor. That should knock him out, or at least possibly kill him. Definitely give him a concussion. Harry gets burned on the hand when he touches a doorknob. It's like second-degree burn. It's going to hurt a lot. That hand will hurt for weeks, but he should be fine. Marv removes his shoes to go through some tar on some stairs and eventually steps on a nail that goes right through his foot. To me, that looks like the most painful one because it's something I've actually experienced and stepped on a nail, but really not that devastating to one's overall health. Going on, Harry gets a blowtorch straight to the side of his head, causing second and third degree burns to his head. He would need skin grafting, but I guess he would still be all right temporarily with this issue. Marv re-injures his foot by stepping on a bunch of ornaments and cutting up his foot. He would have a hard time walking at this point. They run at each other and slip on some race cars and land on their backs again. This is about midway through the amount of times they're going to land on their backs. I don't know how they're still standing. What else? They both get hit in the head with a paint can coming from the second floor. Now, this would possibly kill you. A paint can that's full, flying that fast, hitting you in the forehead, and then you falling down the stairs. But to them, it only knocks them out for about 15 seconds, and they're going to go and try and catch him. Harry has a tarantula on his chest, and Marv decides to hit the tarantula with a crowbar. So he gets hit straight as hard as somebody can with a crowbar right to his chest. That would crack your ribs. It would probably break your sternum. I don't know if he'd be able to stand or have any ability to breathe for the next several months, but that's what happens to him at that point. Harry and Marv try and catch Kevin by climbing across a rope. Kevin cuts the rope and they swing into a brick house for about 20 feet and then fall down another 10 feet. This would knock them out, but they get back up. So at this point, it occurred to me that they may also be some level of cursed beings. It's obvious that they can feel the pain, but they're not breaking anything. So I feel like they are cursed to be in the same existence as Kevin the demon child. They do finally catch Kevin. After a long chase, they grab him and basically plan on torturing him until they murder him. Kind of understandable, as he's done things to them that would probably break the Geneva Convention. Unfortunately for them, the old man that Kevin had talked to the night before at the church hits them in the head with a shovel and finally knocks them out. The wet bandits are arrested, and the old man leaves. Kevin goes to sleep, wishing that his parents would come home. And they do finally come home to a very booby-trapped and destroyed house where they're screaming and angry that he did all this, but at least happy he's home. But then again, this is what happens when you leave Kevin home alone. And now I've seen it, so you don't have to. Thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and Merry Christmas.